Should've left it alone. I'll feel. Got my hands around their neck like I don't know who got
Welcome back, people. This is day number 2 of the first week in the PUBG Mobile Challenges League Southeast Asia Summer 2025. And we're still here with you as the storytellers. My name is Circla together with Tash. And Tash, why don't you give us a rundown of what happened yesterday?
Yesterday was absolutely insane, Cloud. Like, I have to say that it was so competitive. Day number 1, usually we have teams that are very exciting, very explosive on day 1 and just really quiet down. Like yesterday, it was anybody's game. It was down to the wire. It was such a treat to watch how competitive it is. I mean, after all, this is the game with the 1 ticket to EWC, so stakes are very, very high. Regardless, before we start, guys, this tournament is sponsored or brought to you by Techno, our Media Dimensity 8350, the Camon 40 Premier 5G phone. Delivers seamless and efficient performances for both everyday tasks as well as gaming, so do check it out on the website below. Regardless, coming back into yesterday, yesterday was the day that everyone was getting acquainted. We saw teams really stepping out players. We have teams that are just trying out new things. But today is where things get super interesting because bot reviews are very much available. Let's see how teams have adjusted.
Yeah, they would have had a taste or at least a preview of how all the teams will be playing this season, at least based on yesterday. But I'm pretty sure some of these teams will change their play style. But what has changed inside the game as well is our new collaboration with Shelby American collab, and this commands the legendary Shelby GT 500 and 427 Cobra. Comes together with exclusive attachments, so check it out inside the game. But what else you need to check it out inside the game itself as well is the PUBG Mobile X Attack on Titan that is currently live right now. So stay tuned to more collaboration content with Attack on Titan because there will be more updates coming soon. Whenever you create your content, don't forget to hashtag PUBGMX Attack on Titan, hashtag Attack on Titan, hashtag AOT together with it.
Yeah, very excited. So it's like, yo, guys. Coming back into today as well. I mean, today is a very interesting one. The lineup for the maps as well. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen this kind of like standard map just really being changed and shuffled as well. We're seeing more Sanox, more Miramars compared to the stock standard Erangel, and I'm super excited for that. Honestly, it's going to be a big change in pace, a big change in playstyles as well. But what about you, Carl? What do you think of this?
Yeah, I believe that we will see new teams rise up as well because, like what you mentioned, right? Like teams would have had information of like how to play the game as especially for some of the teams that happen to drop and clash with other teams. Maybe they might want to consider to not do that, especially if they don't have a good record or if they have a different play style altogether. So we can expect to see like teams maybe from page number 2 scoring chicken dinners. And speaking about chicken dinners, so far we have not yet seen a team score 2 chicken dinners in a day. We almost saw that yesterday. By the end of the day, it is still 1 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, this comes back to almost interesting enough. How good I almost thought that second season the very, very last part by Sin. So very excited to see more from them. Regardless, this is a schedule coming into the tournament where we are currently on group stage week number 1. And I think, week 1, week 2 is the time where teams are going to try and chase for those placement points, try to make it to that top 60 to make it till the end to see whether or not they can punch a ticket and also a piece of the prize pool. Regardless, this is the tournament format we're going to go for where each group has 4 teams playing 16 matches, where for the Super Weekend we're going to be seeing 6 matches as well. And we're going to have Smash Roll on day number 2, which I am super stoked for.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Maximum 8 matches, but of course because it's a Smash Roll, it could go as little as 2 matches. So that's something that you want to keep an eye on. Of course, all that's to filter down the best 16 teams to be in the grand finals later on. And what will they be eyeing for? A $40,000 lion share, where it's divided into the league stage and also the final stage, as you can see here on screen. So everybody will have a piece of the pie, but it's not only about the money. The champion for PMCL this season will move on to PMWC.
Oh yeah, a lot on the line right now. EWC, prize money, PMGC. So there is something for everyone here coming forward. Regardless, these are the participating teams. We are seeing the groups here today. We're going to start off strong on our first match today with Sanok map, right? We're going to be seeing A, B, C, and E play first, which means Group D will not be playing quite yet. But more about that later because the overall rankings today is very interesting. Because right now, first place all the way to 5th place. Look how close the scores are. Only a 9 points deficit from placement number 1 to placement number 5.
Yeah, and on page number 2, well, none of these teams have scored a chicken dinner yet, obviously, but it's only day number 1, so we can expect some good performances after VOD reviews over the night. We have 2 teams who are still at a single digit, so Paradise and also AF are both of them still at the single digit mark, but who knows, they can come back up today. But our highlight team, of course, is our number 1 team in the league so far, Sin, who scored the chicken dinner themselves yesterday.
Sin is so interesting when you think about it because they are a team that didn't really score those chicken dinners, like most of them rather. Right? They only got like 1 towards the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken. And most of their fights have been down to the line. They are a very interesting team in terms of like they're aggressive, but not aggressive in a way that's super aggressive, but it's more of a control aggression. They don't go super out of the line. They don't go super, I would say in Malay call it barbar. English, I guess English, I'm not too sure about the term. But they are a team that if they have opportunities, they will take it. Third partying, long range fights, you can name it all. They have a page in the playbook for every single one of these strats.
Well, if in Malay you call it barbar, maybe in English you call it barbarian. Yeah. They will have those moments, right? Just like what we see here on screen, like how they scored this chicken dinner with Cole being the last man on the lower ground, but yet he's still barbaric enough to bring that chicken dinner to his team. And now for the games today, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to have a ton of games. It's not 6 games. We are looking at 7 games today, including the first 2 games, 2 Sandhawks today.
Oh, 2 Sandhawks. It is a very interesting one because, it's like not everyone's cup of tea, right, Sanhok? It's a smaller map. It's a little bit more bombastic. Yesterday was an interesting one when I started with Sanhok because I feel like when you start with that particular map, one thing's for sure is that you can always expect it to be aggressive. You can always expect it in terms of rotations is going to be, you're going to be meeting people for sure. I think the team that managed to get the chicken dinner for that map yesterday, I believe was it Max? I'm not too sure. I'm gonna check. Rangers. Yeah, sorry, it was Rangers yesterday, and it really set the tone for the team because in terms of firepower, in terms of aggression, it really set the tone on what they wanted for the rest of the day. The same themes coming in from Sanok was seen throughout Erangel as well as Miramar as well. So for me today, Rangers, I mean, it fell short toward the end, right? You can tell they started to struggle toward the end of the day. I'm really wondering whether or not Sanhok is going to be the staple for them today, since it's two maps. So since they were looking so comfortable on Sanhok yesterday, could it be the same today?
Yeah, I mean, the two Sanhoks with their beautiful record in the first Sanhok yesterday, not only they scored the chicken dinner, but they brought together with them a good amount of elimination points together with it. So maybe there's the map that they're comfortable with. But of course, it's only one Sanhok played yesterday, so some might argue that they might not have been tested in Sanhok. But today we'll have two Sanhoks for us to see if they'll be able to be consistent enough. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I'm super stoked for Sanhok. I personally, as a viewer, do love Sanhok because it's a smaller map. You can expect a lot of early fights. But for the teams, I'm sure they would prefer a bigger map because, you don't want to get all guns blazing at the very beginning. You just want to chill, and it's a survival game at the end of the day.
Interesting enough, when you think about Sanhok, I think back then, because we always had like one Sanhok per day, and then it's like the 3 stock standard, either 3 Erangels or 3 Miramars, right? So, you know, interesting enough, when you think about it, there's a lot more priority now on this map. It's not like the map where you just want to go in, get aggressive, get as many kills, and then get out, right? The mindset has changed. People or teams have rather, started to develop strategic ways on how they want to approach this map, which makes it very, very interesting as well now. And because of this, you know, it comes to that game of adaptation. Rangers yesterday looked really good. They got 22 points with 12 eliminations and also the chicken dinner, putting themselves, I think, 10 points ahead of the rest. Now with VOD reviews up and a more priority on this map, the tune could change.
Well, that's what we want to see, right? We want to see change. We want to see the teams adapting to each other as well. And like what you said, they had the opportunity to do VOD reviews overnight and also throughout the day as well. So they have to make good use of it. But because it's a 16-team game, one team changes, everyone else have to adapt. And adaptation has to be fast inside of Sanhok being a smaller map. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'll jump into game number 1, Sanhok.
Okay, here we go. Sanhok, we're going to be seeing I would say, a decent fight path coming from the top side of the map. But again, smaller map means no worries going forward. I mean, yesterday, I don't think we really saw a lot of hot drops. I mean, we did see for a few early fights, but it was quite minor in my opinion. Never really a full commit quite yet. So hoping, at least for me as a viewer, right? It's always fun to see those early fights. We saw melee kills toward the end of the day as well. Maybe today should be another day for that.
Yeah, we only saw one early fight yesterday in Tainan involving Rangers and Paradise. So let's see if there'll be another clash inside of Tainan. I do notice that a couple of teams are actually heading that way, and nobody's actually taking boot camp. So boot camp is absolutely vacant. And looking at some of the drops, and there might be a good spread, but there seems to be a lot more teams around the area of Ruins. That might be the first clash around that area.
It could be, actually, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Look how close TTQ as well as the team in front of them are. Now, I believe that it's AF there. And AF, interesting enough, yesterday didn't have the greatest of starts. They want to be able to catch up, but TTQ is just being a thorn in their side, denying them already one player knocked out with, working with only 3 this early, especially on a map this aggressive, is not the way you want to set the tone today.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for AF, right? That the fact that they lost one player. And let's not forget about the fact that they are at number 20 right now, so they definitely need the points in. But looking at the first circle, looks like it's going to be an okay circle. It's going to be on the main peninsula, so expect teams to have an okay time traveling there. Now, for travel there, you have to take care of whoever's in front of you, and Time to Quit Esports is trying to do just that against AF.
Time to Quit yesterday had, I would say, a pretty quiet start. But interesting enough, toward the end of the day, they showed a lot of signs of aggression. They showed a lot of signs of life. They were shooting back. They looked a lot more confident. And, it really felt like the team was such a slow cooker team. Took a few maps for them to really come online right now. But the same could be said about AF. Their debut map that they started toward the mid-side of the day. It felt like they were lagging. Understandably so, because, you didn't play the first few maps. You are a little bit more late, mentally to get into the game. But it it didn't seem that they could find their groove. Eventually, even PG was able to overcome them in the end. But again, these two teams, there's not a lot of difference in terms of points. AF right now, stuck in this Mexican standoff, not really eager to move out of the way, especially since TTQ, they're so dominating in how exactly they want to set the fights. I mean, their positioning looks very terrifying. They have a lot of crossfire set up, and I'm pretty sure that every member of AF is currently being marked.
Yeah, and the fact that, like what you mentioned, they set up Liquid as a crossfire guy on the left side, it will keep them in check. And we can see that AF, they're having a hard time even leaving this area. They know that the moment they step out from their enclosure, they might be gunned down by maybe Liquid or anyone else from Tactical Esports. So they're playing this a little bit safer. Now they do have Hunter all the way behind, but he's not in a good clear angle. Instead, now it's Liquid that found that angle to suppress them inside the building.
Liquid's playing a very, very aggressive game right now. He's taking up a lot of space. And the more he's just slowly doing that. And while he's putting in the pressure, making so much noise, look at his teammates' positioning. Slowly, they're making their way toward the building. I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to just completely swarm from many angles and just be able to crossfire each other and make sure that they're not going to get isolated in terms of fights.
Yeah, it could be a matter of time because right now they're not in the first circle. So they have to make a quick decision. But at the same time, OF is one of the solutions as well. It could be a third party. But Parker fires from the side, not able to get the knockdown of the members of Tactical Esports, but yet they're still able to breach onto AF, but fall with the madness down against Zuki.
Man, he double dipped there. It was immediately punished. You can see how fast the reaction toward Fong is as soon as he poked his head out again. So Zuki is just happy to play that first contact, allowing his teammate to use him as bait. Now Liquid's managed to keep an eye out also. He was so aware that OF is close by. He's managed to get a knockdown, but not enough to secure that kill.
Yeah, so that elimination point needs to be secured, but I don't think it will be a problem. It's just being held hostage right now. Unless it's Liquid or any of the members of actually breach through, but now they notice the presence of OF on the other side. I'm not sure if OF was part of this because they are not in the circle. But anyway, Zuki eliminated by Fong. There's going to be a point picked up by AF.
It took too long to react to Zuki's knockdown. They were so distracted by the other members there of OF. There was no way possible for them to silently or safely be able to pick up their teammates. And somehow Goa is also close by here. So we saw that knockdown as well. So this is a four-way sandwich fight all the way down here toward the area of ruins. You can see the sounds of the gun of the shotguns being shot down here. Marcus trying to find a nice tricky angle. He's taking a lot of damage. Beautifully done in terms of strafes as well. So Clay is going to be happy to take that away.
And Parker needs a Mary Jane right now, but too bad there's no Jane here. Well, Jane's on the other team, so I don't think it was that Jane. Anyway, now it looks like OF, they're still going to be involved in this fight, and look who's around the corner as well. Goa is here, with Rex getting one knockdown onto Astro. Astro now calling up for help, so the teammates are somewhere else. So he would need to hope that his opponents don't rush in onto him. But finally, Gus will take him out. So it looks like the point stolen away by Tactical Esports.
I mean, Astro has a 3-1 formation with his teammates. His teammates are on the northern side of the area, and he was on the southern side. They were hoping that he's able to just flank them from behind, but they were not anticipating to have 4 teams right smack dab there in the area of ruins. So it was a very, very high risk play, and they got punished for it. Regardless, none of these teams can move right now, and even if they were able to move, they're going to all take heavy losses. And if they go toward Painan area, I believe RNG is already holding on to that little area as well. So not the easiest in terms of rotation right now, but Goa is close, still holding, mashing out for TTQ, and I think TTQ aware of that as well. So no one's moving, and I think that maybe perhaps when the blue zone pushes, when they're pushed out there in the open, then we'll be seeing this forced fight come alive.
Yeah, the blue will be the one to force them to actually make the big moves now. And say hello to the blue. Now Zero will need to make a decision together with the other opponents as well. But Zero, he saw Clay Jr., he showed his shoulder towards Nux, and Nux will calmly claim that knock. Isn't looking for the other members of Goa. They're still stuck here with each other. I wonder how long they can last. It really depends on how many healing utilities they have.
I felt like all these 4 teams didn't really have enough time to really pick up or just loot up because the fights are happening so early. Whatever that is in Ruins right now, Ruins probably picked empty at this point. So amongst 16 players, I don't think all these teams had a lot to begin with. But I think for Goa, they're doing what they do best here. They're going to try and brute force their way to the circle. Let's see if this strat is still very viable today.
Well, looking at the position of all these other teams, they should still be able to get into the circle. I don't see many gatekeepers, but now it's a matter of getting away from their first set of opponents here. Okay, same goes for OF as well. They seem to be on foot, no vehicle on their side. Titan Quick Esports in a similar situation. They are still surrounded by Goa. Goa is not letting them go at all.
I see what you did there.
You got that, right?
Man,
Yeah.
I got it. At the very last moment, I was like, hey, wait a minute. And the same to be said about Goa right now. They were the ones who are trying to gatekeep, but they are the ones taking a lot of damage here. And I have to say, Liquid today is a whole different beast, a whole different look right now with how much noise he's playing in terms of first contact, in terms of firepower as well. He's putting a lot of damage to every single member that he's seen, micro angles or not. He's going to be doing that. And that knockdown onto S4 Who. So Goa, one by one, getting knocked down in lives. The same to be said about AF will be the first team out of this map.
And here comes the Russian nearby Rangers. They want those elimination points in the bag. Now going up against Paradise. And Paradise, they're falling apart. The plans of Rangers are pretty low. They should be able to heal up really soon as they make quick work out of Paradise. Rangers claims all 4 points.
Rangers' rotations was very interesting to watch. They were hanging around Painan, both sides of the river, trying to figure out where exactly the circle pool, and they were quick to get toward the outer side of Quarry. They didn't commit to Quarry, so it's the outer side. So for them, just hanging out the area, holding onto the line, and catching people in the midst of rotations is great for them. Those are extra points that they're going to be able to chase from behind Sin right now. They are 1 point deficit.
And for Rangers, they could go 1 point deficit if Osja can actually catch them. Renzo got Jappy from afar. Trying to secure that elimination point. Jappy is now bleeding out. He's still taking damage from his opponents. And Renzo is closing the gap. And Renzo,
nice
with that, they will take out Jappy. That's going to be the first point for Osja. They're looking for more. Looking for the remaining members of Rangers. They're all clumped up on the other side.
I mean, they were just barely alive, barely recovered from that first, meetup with PG. And, Osja, one of their strats have always been that third-party play, being opportunistic to just really, overcome other teams that are still bleeding from their last skirmish. For RNG, being able to survive as a 3 at the very least and be able to retreat away is already a blessing in itself. But for the rest of the teams right now, this is the northern side of the circle where 2 and 4 and YG. Oh yeah, YG yesterday was an interesting one to me. They started off the day, just flexing, knowing that they had a big title from last season. And my God, Range and Shroud just trading off each other this time around. That's a drive-by.
Well, at least Jitna is together with Nathan, so he should be able to be revived. But pressure is still coming in from the other side. More teams looking at this warehouse. Lupito will take a spiral, so that's going to be another point for Osja. Now here comes Shroud. He's closing the gap. He has the nade in hand. Jibna could be in trouble. Jibna is healing up still within the smoke, and Shroud, his first aid did not connect onto any of the members of Rangers. Shroud decides to turn back. He knows that he does not have the advantage, but down goes Data to the hands of God.
In trouble right now. RNG, they just can't catch a break right now. From the fangs of Osja to even, GG right now, and also OF close by. It's so hard for them to really rotate, and on top of that, you're forced to rotate southern side through Quarry. It's going to be one of the hardest rotations they're going to have to go through. Regardless, coming into this one, they're still going to try. I mean, RNG still very much alive as a 3. Quite surprised they're able to hold on to the initial skirmish. GG this time around looked a lot different. They are the ones who start fights, but it doesn't seem like they can hold on here because one by one, they're falling around like flies.
Okay. At least what's helping them is that their opponents are also falling apart. So that means that lesser players at battlefield. But for Cloud, needs help from the rest of YG. And we can see that Lion is holding him hostage right this moment. YG, 2 players at that vehicle. Gonna go turn around and save him? Looks like not. You're gonna have to let him go.
Guys, sometimes you gotta cut your losses. You don't really want to force fights this early as well, especially when you're not even close to that circle. Because I think leaving him behind would have been the best course of action because of their rotations right now, it allowed them to go straight into the circle. The northern side, they have a terrain to work with, and they also have a compound as well. So for them, this is the biggest W they can get right now, despite losing that one member. And 2 and 4, despite getting that 1 point, they don't have a lot of space to work with.
Yeah, same goes for Goa as well. I mean, the moment they step forward, like there's another team waiting for them. But are they inside a quarry or
they're right outside?
I gotta get a good view later on. But they also need to be aware of the fact that they are on the outside circle. The blue will be on top of them. And if we were to zoom in onto their healing utilities, Rex only has 7 bandages. So at stage number 4, it can still last a bit, but you don't want to spend that much time just using your bandages in the blue, just wasting them away.
For sure. On top of that as well, when you mentioned about Goa, right? Their position, not only is it right outside the circle, OF is gatekeeping them, and behind them all the way from cave, you have TTQ coming in, you have PBMS. So, they gotta do something to move soon. Because if they're not gonna get gate kept by OF, they're gonna get just completely shredded by TTQ coming in from the back as well. So they're gonna be sandwiched in a situation that you don't want to be in right now.
For PBMS, well, not in the sandwich situation, but on a road rage adventure where another team beside them, so they have information, they're going towards TTQ. Are they going to go all in? Nope. They decide to stop at this house, at this compound, while firing back to TTQ. But TTQ has a higher advantage because they are the inside
Oh
circle.
my God.
The moment they pass by onto SG, oh no, SG, they were ready for it.
I mean, they're called silent gods for a reason. They were very quiet early game. They were quick to be in the middle of the circle, and they're out there in the open playing with the terrains, catching people in the midst of the rotations. And the thing about SG is that whenever they spray, whenever they hold, it's so devastating how well they're handling these recoils, and every bullet seems to just really shred them as they pass through. So really scary. And as the circle pulls, one more thing that's interesting, that SG is right smack dab at the end of the circle as well. So any team coming in from the eastern side is going to be with some danger.
Yeah, just like what happened to Tactical Esports earlier on. A decent start, managed to survive the ruins fight, but did not survive getting into the circle. Well, I guess that's what it is. All they need to do is now just wait and chill and go for the next round. But for GG, speaking about going, they have to go into the circle. Right, Jordan is the 2 players from Goa. They try and take them out so that they will have an easier entry in. But hopefully they're aware of the fact that they are like at least 1 or 2 players inside of Quarry itself.
Looking at other teams' positionings right now, I'm really interested in how Austria has really positioned themselves. They have a compound right outside the quarry, but they're just so separated right now. They're just really making sure that they can spread themselves thin, but enough that they're able to just crossfire and play off each other right now. As for Goa, I think this might be it. They can't cross. They have no clue how to go into that circle. You have RNG, who's just really gatekeeping them outside, just forcing them to either go down to the blue zone or come out in the open and die to their bullets. And I think for these teams, even GG is just out here waiting for them.
Yeah, but GG, they need to go in as well, so there's only so long that they can wait. And looks like Goa, they found that 1 player from OF down there, but still it's GG with the long range onto Goa, eliminating them at number 13 with 2 elimination points. Now it's time for GG to move in. But speaking about inside, here we have Sin versus Yangon Gatkos.
So many things happening in the northern side here. YG and Yangon Galacticos, you already see a lot of util thrown out here, but no full commits quite yet. Yangon Galacticos, yes, I said, they are on the back foot right now with less players to work with compared to the other teams. Romeo, he's a rat, and he is making it work right now, stealing away a kill, quickly repositioning, knows that Imas is close by here, jump shots about, playing so closely with each other, getting and chunking down Sin's HP to so very low. Imas forced to sit outside, forced to go for that reset, and now the lull of silence for the time being.
Oh, but then nice to connect on to Imas. Imas goes down immediately. Now only Rankin left for Sen. And here comes Team Max as well. They're charging into the combat where YG is at. Murnau will be got now while Rankin shoots from the side. Managed to get 1 target for himself. Go time for Rankin. He wants a couple of points in the pocket. But looks like with the help of Rankin, Yangon Gatkos, they somehow defended their compound against Team Max.
And They were on the back foot. They didn't have the amount of firepower or even bodies right now to play with. But all we saw right now was great crossfires, great teamwork coming in from both teams here. But that boy managing to survive that skirmish, no knocks either. Beautifully played, but they're not out of the woods yet. They still have to worry about the other two members of Sin. They have to worry about 2 and 4 just hanging over on the outside. They don't have the circle either. So like it or not, they're going to be forced to fight.
Oh, Romeo got WSKX. Could this be an opening for them to move forward? But then again, they have to be careful of the fact that 214 is looking at them. Here comes the spray from 214 across. They managed to make it, but Rankit stopped Romeo at his tracks. Now it's going to be a 1v1 between Bernat and Rankit. Let's see who will be able to come up on top here. They have to make it fast because the blue will be on top of them real soon, while their teammates need to be picked up. Will there be enough time? Rankit decides to go in for the pickup instead.
So many things happening right now, and I think 2 and 4, they're just happy to wait and see. They have the strength in terms of numbers, and their compound is just completely untouched. The road is separating them against YG as well as Sin. So right now, as Young Galacticos, they're struggling. Romeo knocked down Bernat Boy, forced to go for that reset here. We did also see, as the rotations are happening, 2 and 4, one of their members have been knocked down as well. Bernat Boy is positioned on the outside of the compound. He's trying to go for that jump shot forward, but he's getting chunked down by the HP in terms of the blue zone. But overwhelmed by numbers, managing to get one, but unfortunately for him, not able to hold on as the play zone will claim his life. 3 elimination, 9th place.
It was so close for Bernat. Let's see if Rankit will be able to survive this one. Right now, he is in the blue. 10 more seconds before we go stage number 6. And looks like Rankit will go out. WSKX is trying to hold on for dear life. But the moment we go stage 6, I'm not sure if he will be able to hang on. Now looking at the circle, looks like it favors 3 different teams. One of them is going to be Austria. For Nexus Vanguards, they're not in the circle. Beside them, there's another team on top of that here. It's going to be PBMS. Don't think they have the information yet, but maybe they do now.
Interesting enough, that rotation, that 3-way fight on the northern side of the circle didn't really pay dividends for 2 and 4. Decided to just move away, ignore the fight happening in front of them. But they failed to recognize that Austria was in front of them. They failed to recognize that NX was just keeping an eye on them, leaving Lion now the last man standing for the team. But Sin will eventually be eliminated as well because they weren't able to fight their way into the circle. Took too long, taking too much damage.
Well, PBMS, they know that they cannot take that long. They're making a move right now. They're not in the circle yet. Are they going to go crashing onto SG, or are they going to just circle around? But if they circle around, it will be Nexus Vanguard. They have to pick a poison right now. And looks like they're going to crash onto SG. That's going to be their choice. Bomboy gets knocked down immediately the moment he arrives. Taking a bit of damage. Looks like PBMS, they're not able to hold their ground. Another player spreads the currently down thanks to Caps and FG. 3 active players defending the ground against PBMS. So far, so good.
Getting the heck out of all these players, the players of SG, Silent Gods, just looking so terrifying right now, so separated from each other, but everyone is individual brilliance, being able to just hold on for dear life here. And MM is just trying his best to not only save his life, but also be sure that he's able to run away with it. But then Space coming in, but Lucy answers back. These trades are happening so quickly. SG, what is this dynamic? It's so perfectly executed.
Well, you asked for quick action. Now you're going to get another one, potentially between Austria and Nexus Vanguards. As Austria, they have one player from Nexus Vanguards as a hostage right now. Overpass going to be Superboy, spraying them down. Right now, Nexus Vanguards, with the update of the circle, they do have the circle on top of them. All they need to do is hold on to their position. Do not allow Austria to come in.
This is a very unforgiving circle. You can't really tell where exactly it's going to be pulling. One moment it's to the left, and now it's to the right side, favoring BG as well as Nexus. Austria on the outer end here. You still have one more member from RNG as well. But Silent Gods, they're not done yet. They are going to fight to their last breath with barely any space to move. They managed to get one knock already. And as that is happening, Austria also decides to turn their attention to the members of Nexus. It's a 3-way, 4-way fight here. No one is going to get through unscathed.
But for SG, will they be able to get through unscathed right now with one player, Lucci, down? They still have the circle though, so they can buy a little bit more time while the commotion is happening on the other side involving Austria. And Torpedo will be gunned down by WDT from afar. Eliminated immediately. Caps receive the end of the name by Yaka. And Yaka will finish off Lucci in the process. Caps will now be picked up by MM, but they won't have the time. Say hello to the blue. MM, he has to leave his teammate behind.
One-man army against the world right now, in trouble. A big area in front of him, barely any cover, just a tree line to work with right now. Because Lil Yatka has marked him for quite some time here. Here comes that nade. It's going to blow soon. The blue zone's going to chunk him in the end. And I think for him, it's just best to just go down here. But Top will be able to steal away that kill at the very least. The SG will go down at the 4th place. Our top 3 here. With Austria with the man advantage 3 in the bag.
Top 3 teams right now. Burmese goals, Austria on Nexus Vanguards for the first chicken dinner today, and we're at stage number 9. The zone will close entirely. Right beside each other is going to be Austria and Burmese goals, and Nangex got Jatka. Will he have the time to be picked up? Down at the blue is starting to close at this moment. One WTC looking at them from afar. WTC's name will let out to Nangex.
They're slowly trying to dwindle down those numbers, but BG is just looking so terrifying. They took away so much space, but eventually will go down. They've done enough damage to Austria at the very least. Gives a bit more space for NX to be able to run away with this. Austria, the last man standing top, barely surviving here. He's so low. Manages to get that reset, trying to go and pick up Ranzer right now, but he's bleeding to death. No time right now, so decides to go to reposition a 1v1 here on our first map of the day.
Are we top now? Has a little bit of elevation, he moves forward, but he doesn't know where WTC is at. WTC took the first shot at the top, but it's very low, but WTC stayed low as well, but that's okay by top. And at the end of the day, nothing will stop WTC from letting the final blow. Nexus Vanguard comes in today with the chicken dinner.
It's honestly so exciting to see how that was just down to the wire. Nexus very quiet early, but it's all about positioning. It's all about just holding on and surviving till the end. And one-on-one fight there was only one thing that separated these two. It was just movement. It was just that last-minute prone that saved his life, threw off the crosshair coming in from that last player. So good job to them being able to think quickly on their toes. And that's the first winner chicken dinner of the day.
Absolutely. That prone definitely set the tone here. If he was still like squatting or still standing or behind a tree, it would have been obvious. But the fact that he was proning, then it wasn't that obvious. And he managed to take the first shot, giving him the advantage against his opponent and scoring the chicken dinner at the end of the day. WTZ comes in with 4 eliminations, Super Bowl with 1, bringing the entire team 5 eliminations. And with the chicken dinner, it is 15 points for Nexus Vanguard.
They had a different approach coming into this map as well to really start the day as well. Their rotations weren't, I would say, the most insane rotations ever, but again, that priority, that side quest that they really wanted to hit here, which was being able to hold on to the area, the compound for quite some time, not forcing these fights. And a lot of the fights that Nexus had been participating were just third parties, were just people in the middle of rotations. It's never a full-on 4v4. And again, their rotation area wasn't the most, I would say, contested for either, so it gave them so much value. But let's have a look at highlights before we talk about this more.
And that is Nexus Vanguard with the chicken dinner. But because Austria, they scored more elimination points, make that 11. Their total points collected here is 17, making them the highest team collected points, highest point collected team, yeah. And well, yeah, I got that jumbled up. But anyway, the numbers that behind is not jumbled up. Look at Team Knights, 0 points. We don't get to see this all the time.
No, I mean, yesterday was definitely the high for them, but I guess it's a bit more of a quiet better game for them today. Regardless, coming into the overall rankings, BG, their consistency is actually just paying off here, giving them first place. They just managed to push down Sin onto second here, only a 5-round deficit. But I have to say, one thing's for sure though, coming into that one, again, we're still seeing these very, very close fights coming through from all of these teams as well. And I think it's a little bit more of a quieter start for most of the teams as well. The only time that we saw those fights is because the Blue Zone decided to move in that 4-way fight very, very early here in Sanhok. And we're going to be looking at Sanhok one more time after this. And, interestingly enough, I think we haven't really seen much. I think we did see a glimpse from AF trying to bring some fights early, PG as well, trying to go for a rotation instead of trying these fights. But both teams still unable to find their footing in terms of firepower. Regardless, these are our top 4 teams just now. Let's have a look at their stats.
Yeah, with the Osja, Nexus Vanguards, Silent Gods, and also Burmese Ghosts here as our top 4 teams. But only one player will be the MVP. That is the player that brought the chicken dinner to Nexus Vanguard, WTC, coming in with 4 eliminations by himself, 639 damage. And obviously, he was the one that brought majority of the elimination points to the team and also the chicken dinner itself.
He has really great mid to close range fighting, really quick on his toes when it comes to these last minute decisions, trying to be able to just really throw off the opponent, and he's done just that. It's honestly very fun to watch this team. We didn't see too much from them yesterday. It's a bit more quiet, but today it feels like they have an idea on why they are quiet. It's more toward the end game that they're really, really worried about. Regardless, we're going to be going for a break. After this, another sign-up waiting for us.
Fuel tank went on empty. The flame would go out. But there were some ties that even time cannot erase.
Hold up, wait a minute, bitch, I'm back. Got my hands around their neck like I don't know who got
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're going straight into another Sanok, the second one for today. We had a very to-the-line match. Match number 2, everyone's warmed up. Everyone looks great. What do you think, Sir Cloud?
Oh yeah, I think it was a good warm-up match because there was a lot of action from the beginning to win. So everybody had the chance to just flex their fingers. But now it's time for them to show the real deal here as we return back onto the Sanhao match. Let's go.
We're seeing some roster shuffles right now on match 2 KHI. We're seeing Migs out and Zyle coming into the fray. And as for another team, Superboy is out and Joji KH is coming in. Thoughts?
Yeah, so looks like teams are just adjusting themselves perhaps. I mean, it's only number 1. Normally you don't see that many substitutions, but perhaps because they know that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, so they want to keep every player fresh, and that's why they bring in some of these players just to give them a run out as well. But of course, they do hope to get the return in terms of points. Now that's where we want to see if they'll be able to gain those points here. And as compared to game number 1, it looks like Bootcamp, we do have Generation X dropping the Bootcamp this time. In game number 1, it was vacant. We did see an early fight in Ruins, but not this time. It's going to be 100% time to pick esports.
Yeah, I mean, with the changes in the groups as well, with B going out and D coming in, it's going to be a big change in dynamics. I mean, yesterday we thought it was going to be somewhat similar in terms of how they play, not too aggressive, taking their time, but it just, with just 4 different teams going out and coming in, a lot of teams are currently on their toes. They have no clue what to expect, how aggressive things are, and again, the drop spots are going to be changed so drastically. Now, just now we saw a lot of teams dropping toward Ruin side, right? 4, in fact. This time around, it's only TTQ holding down that line.
Yeah, so time to quit esports. At least this time they will have a chiller start as compared to before. The entire Ruins for themselves. We did notice a few gunshots there, but it was more of like, okay, grab a vehicle and rotate away. So nothing big this time. So it looks like it's compared to the first Sanhao. Perhaps since the teams have played yesterday's Sanhao as well, they have time to revise the thoughts. We even had an extended break just after the first Sanhao match. So we don't see any first encounters by either side. But that also means that when we move towards it's Sanhao, so maybe stage number 2, we'll see a lot more fights than before.
Previous map, Bootcamp, generally just empty. We were quite surprised at the predicament, right? I think a lot of teams wanted to, stay away from the area because it's such a big, hot spot. They don't want to take earlier fights. This time around, GX has decided to say, okay, you know what? Let's take Bootcamp. It's going to be a high-risk situation. Maybe we can take this fight. AF is close by this time around. I think this time they want to keep their distance a bit more. They don't want to really go into these 4v4s. And I think that the recurring theme between yesterday and today for AF especially is that they find most value when they're able to stay away in these long-range fights and keep themselves relatively safe.
Exactly what Parker is doing, right? Just pull the trigger, send a warding shot, and then turn back, not taking overly aggressive moves because he is alone here. But this is one of the good spots to try to block out whoever who's coming out from Bootcamp, especially Generation X who's currently inside of it. So as long as AF, they're able to hold that ground, there's a chance that they'll be able to take away a couple of elimination points. But look who's passing by Bootcamp. 2, 1, 4. They could be heading the same direction onto AF.
Could be. Could potentially also be a 3-way fight as well. I mean, if they decide to go breach into Bootcamp, it might be really fun. There's a lot of compounds for them to play with. They could get a little bit more, isolated fights as well. But I don't think they want to commit. They want to just try and find their way into the circle. A lot of teams have already started to rotate to the middle side. I mean, you see AF just really holding on to the area outside of Painan. RNG being very smart right now with 2-2 formation. One on main island and one on the smaller island as well.
Yeah, and speaking about AF, looks like they want to take the preemptive approach onto Generation X with Coca-Cola alone in the shack. So I'm not sure if Parker knows that he's there though. He's probably trying to bait him out. But the other members of AF, okay, looks like we have an encounter here with 214 crashing in. And the moment they crashed in, they found one target. It was an easy win for them.
It was very decisive if you think about it, how 214 just walked up, decided to take that fight, and then move away. Now, the entirety of this area toward the side, or at least one side of Painan in their control. And we also saw Sin just now with that opening as well into the first blood of the game. So this is huge coming in from Sin, especially since we know that this team is very aggressive. They love their mid into long-range fights when they don't want to fully commit. So it works out very well in their favor. Now, my question is for GX, how exactly are you going to be navigating this? You have Yangon Galacticos coming in from the northern side of Paradise Resort, just moving to the area as well. But yeah, this time around, they're not staying very quiet. They're shooting back. They're being very active. They've been marking so many different players from so many different sides. They have a nice buddy 2-2 formation, I believe. Or is it 2-1-1? I cannot really tell from here. But being able to have that, that teammate around to quickly answer back for you in case you get knocked is already something in itself.
Well, you asked about Generation X, so it looks like this is the answer. They will still push onto the high ground of boot camp. Let's see if they'll be able to overcome AF. They should be able to, considering that they have the information that, AF, they lost one player. At least they have the numbers against them. Let's see how they actually do it later on. But in Painan, where the circle is at, the Rangers, they're pretty much going to stay there. I don't expect to see them coming out of Painan real soon. But we're going to zoom in back onto Generation X and AF. Here they are, face-checking each other.
They are currently at a disadvantage as well. I mean, they have the cover, but the terrain not so much in their favor, given the fact that AF is on the high ground. And because they had that high ground is why AF is a little bit more confident to take these long-range fights, marking so many different areas and situations. But at the same time, looking at ND, crossing by their fellow N team as well, which is NX. Super Loki coming into this game, staying fairly quiet. And I think one thing for sure is about NX is that they are a team that starts very, very quiet. It's all about positioning. It's all about survivability. And because they've been so quiet here, Foxy might just walk straight into Loki, chip damage him out, enough damage put in from both sides right now, but that micro angle played by Foxy gives dividends, and he's able to run away with the pick-off.
And that's Super Loki out. So let's also remember that Nexus Vanguard, they scored the chicken dinner before, but this time they only have 2 players left at the beginning of this match. Not a good sign here for Nexus Vanguard. With only 2 players, the best they could do is to hold up for positioning points. Well, we shift forward to the southern side, and looks like GG is here together with Burmese Goals and their high ground.
Burmese Goals in the previous map had quite a late rotation into the circle, understandably so, wanted to be a little bit more, to the side, don't want to be backstep. But this time around, I think they're a little bit more active when it comes to the rotations. I think they decided to play a little bit more, I think, not super conservative, I think balanced in terms of play style here. There's a lot going on. I'm seeing a lot of movement, especially since it's a very centralized circle. Everyone wants to claim that middle part because you have no clue whether or not the circle will be going to the main big island or the smaller one to the east, the western side, excuse me.
Well, what we do know is that Yaka is now breaching into the compound. Not sure if he knows that the 2 members of GG are there. Okay, now he knows. Okay, he clearly sees them in front, but because it's a 2v1 with the of K by Luki, he will not be able to survive that. And Burmese Goals, they will lose 1 player. The good news is that they still have the circle, but the bad news is that circle is divided 50-50 between 2 different islands. So there's a chance that teams will need to full migrate onto either island when it comes to the later stages.
It's a different, I think, side of GG. Yesterday, it's all about just, getting into the circle quickly, not really committing to fights. But this time around, we're seeing them actually actively, seeing a team going to that area, checking them out, and just really try and take as many kills as they can as well, which I think is such a big drastic change from their strat yesterday, which is more just leaving their backs open, just crossing into the circle itself and just trying to survive till the end. This is a better look for them. It's a little bit more balanced as well, and it does also give them that situation, the situation where you want to fight back. You're able to collect those elimination points instead of just ending with the chicken dinner as well as maybe 1 to 2 pickoffs. Because honestly, at this point, with how aggressive some of these teams are, it's so easy to get overcome when you have teams like, say, SG or even Sin, who prefer to collect elimination points alongside those placement points.
Yeah, situationships can be easy, but an actual relationship is difficult. Just like how Napictel is trying to bond with KHI, but KHI, they reject him. The moment he shows up, wants to knock on the door, KHI take him out. Too bad. You're rejected, my friend. Try again next round.
Wow, the puns are getting very aggressive today, Sir Cloud. How many pages of pun book did you go through last night?
Well, I had 15 minutes break earlier, so I had some time. Thanks for the break.
Now, I'm just keeping my eye out to the middle side of the circle right now, where I think, RNG, you can already tell they're going to be holding on to that middle side of that of the 2 islands on Painan. but they have company this time. KHI just holding on to the southern side. But the same could be said here about Sin. They have made their way from the northern circle all the way down here toward ruins, outside of ruins area, and they decided to camp over near the bridge. You know, if someone decides to just cross over, they can just become the bridge trolls to collect their their tolls, or they could potentially be caught out in the back by TTQ.
And for TTQ, they have to have a better campaign this time around. Earlier, they only scored like 3 points. They had a hard time inside the ruins. Now with a easier start, let's see if they will be able to make the best out of it. But for NB, okay, I noticed one player was down. Okay, still down that is, but the revival happened, so it should be fine. As long as they're aware of like, okay, YG is around and maybe other teams around, and they still have the circle, they don't really need to move. They just need to peek out the windows and just make sure that they don't get crashed in by any other team. That's exactly what they're doing right now. Oh, there's another team on the other high ground as well. And yeah, basically they're now sandwiched in between two teams. The only thing they can hope for is to pray that the circle continues to favor them so they don't need to leave.
A lot of space right now, I think, for NX deciding to go back into that blue zone, play a high ground area, just really make sure that you're able to take this fight is number one properly, and number two, be able to survive getting into the circle itself is so important. I think looking at them right now, interesting enough, right? When you see where BG are, they've been doing stellar at being able to not only protect the area they're holding in your cave, but also keeping the rest of the teams on their toes, keeping them like, okay, if we rotate to the circle, are we going to be in trouble? And speaking of that, I don't think this trend is going to change. They're going to have to move as well, because the circle is just straight up ping pong to the left side of the map, where a majority of teams, especially teams like RNG and KHI, have a nice compound to hold on to.
And with the circle that have shifted, like the southern teams, well, they have to move. They have to find the next compound, but a lot of compounds have been taken by teams. So if you don't have a compound, the next option is to go up to the high ground, just like what Young Gaidicos is doing right now. It's great that they can put the high ground because you will have elevation. But for Burmese goals, okay, with 3 players still on the outside of the circle, now they're fighting against S69. Master Toki took out Godspeed, 2 players left.
Oh no, but Unknown is currently on fire right now, moves backwards. S69, I think they've had a little bit more of a quiet end to it yesterday, but this time around, they're looking very dominant, especially Master Toki there, already taking away a knock, a pick-off as well, seeking up so much space. They're quite confident, if you ask me, moving out here in the open, throwing out those nades, putting so much pressure onto Master Ichi. Like it or not, BG, they're in trouble. You have to move. The blue zone's coming to you. It's going to be very painful. But it's S69, they're just saying it's okay. We're going to throw out all this utility. Like it or not, you're going to either die to the blue zone, die to our bullets, or just eat up all of this utility.
Wow, it's going to be Ichi, the final player left. Like what you say, right? He's just going to eat everything up right now. I don't think he'll be able to survive this. And plus, S69, if you have the high ground, it's going to be pretty hard for Ichi. But before that, 666 decides to take out the second last member of Burmese goals, and now it's all in on Ichi. He's behind that smoke. Well, buying him a little bit of time, but EMC fires back with SLK, knocking one down.
Very well done as well. Taking away numbers, dwindling it out one by one, but forced out here in the open. But it's left to S69 in a very, very questionable position here, but this prone should be able to just give them the upper hand, so they will eventually go down 16th place. The first team out. On top of that, only one elimination. What a different look for this team.
And the fact that they're number 1, but Sin, Rangers, and the other teams below them are still very close in terms of points. There's a good chance that they will lose their number 1 spot after this, but it's still not yet on the roll for them because, yeah, we're only in day number 2. On the elimination fee, one players of blue team just got knocked down. On screen right now, we have Davan, one OG players from Cambodia, and spraying down their opponent from afar, but they have to also be aware of the fact that they are in the blue, so hopefully they have enough utilities to tank it out. But Snitch, okay, I was kind of worried that he's in that vehicle because, yeah, it's turned around.
I love the positioning of TTQ. They have so much space to work with right now outside of ruins. They have terrains to work with as well, and the circle will also favor them as well. This is technically Christmas for them, but because they're right out there in the open and kind of separated, there is that question, how exactly going to be holding on when so many teams are going to be rotating inside of the area. Now, GX, this prolonged fight has been going on for quite some time. They still managed to get it out there in the end, but the same could be said about MD and SG. Forced to fight here to just get into the area of the circle. One knockdown already is Caps. Moxie waiting for the right timing to just strike. The nade comes through. is just rendered so low right now. Z11, his teammate, trying to make things happen. They need to go and revive. They need to go and reset here. But Lucy says, you know what? Forget it. I'm not going to try and revive. I'm going to try and take this fight head on there. Yakiko is around as well. And they overestimated themselves. And SG will be eliminated. The blue zone just pressured them way too much in this fight.
Well, and Envy was still time to pick up the teammate, so they will be back up as 4. But for Rangers, Siege down by 2-1-4. Moment they arrived, Jip now eliminated. The rest of Rangers on the other building. KHI was joining on the party as well on the other side. And looks like the circle is mostly on the Ruins Island side. So all these teams will need to evacuate, will need to relocate themselves soon anyway. But for Rangers, they want to seek revenge. They're looking for the remaining members of 2-1-4 with them already active right now. Range will show himself with the name. Nathan comes in for the other side, but the rest of K gets green in process. And the Rangers will wipe them out of this map.
And they're going to be very happy with that as well. Painan has always been their drop spot, their area. They've been holding on for some time as well. But they're not out of the woods. They're not currently in the most healthiest state either, with only 2 members still left alive. They have to worry about KHI that's currently safeguarding the area of Painan that's toward the Ruins Island. So if they cross, they're going to be caught out there in the open, not a lot of space to work with. They have to swim.
But Japan don't have much space as well. That's enough damage. He won't be able to heal up for sure. And that is Tavan eliminated. The final player for GG. Only 1 point collected this round. As for Rangers, now they have AF together with them. 3 different teams inside Painan. Make that 4.
A lot of noise made. KHI not done. Look at that. PG dropping in terms of numbers, in terms of bodies as well. With a final member barely alive. As for RNG, this is a very dire situation. I mean, granted, they can pull off the impossible if they're able to isolate these fights, and they have been able to do that before. They could just slowly come in, find a member of AF, find an escape, take him out as 1 point in the bag, and then slowly but surely break out into one compound at a time for KHI. Granted, and they're not able to just play off one another. But in this situation, while the blue zone is pushing, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of things to worry about, and you have no clue where exactly everyone is. So that uncertainty is keeping RNG at bay.
It doesn't help that the fact that the blue right now is coming on the Painan real soon, about 25 more seconds. So Rangers, they need to cross, but before that, they have to clear off AF. The final player is still active in this building. It's going to be Nathan and IGL. Range, the duo that has to do it for the team. He's locating the final player of AF. He opens the door. There you go. TPP, he saw the target, but he got a bit of help from Range, and it's going to be AF eliminated number 9 with 2 elimination points. Now Rangers will need to cut across KHI.
KHI was a little bit more later to that party in terms of positioning, but they have been able to just really secure where they're holding. But now the blue zone moving away, they can't move on at all. But for the time being, they did deny NV from being able to breach that compound, from being able to get into that blue zone, eliminating them, and in fact, getting their teammate back online here. They have 5 eliminations and still staying alive. Nathan slowly making their way toward the area. I'm not sure if the rest of KHI is aware that RNG is close by.
And they're cutting across though. They should be aware right now. They heard the footsteps, and there you go. Zal sees him. He's just waiting for him to make an entry into the building, but he's not going into this particular building though. But the other member of Rangers, just on the outside. They know that Kyle is there. Whoever is shooting at Kyle, it could be from Goa even. And Demios takes a lot of damage. The good news is for Demios, he's in the circle, but can't say the same for Kyle. And here comes the blue one to Range. He has no choice but to move forward. If not, he'll be giving himself up to the blue.
Potentially, even Sin could even join in on the fight. I think they have a 2-2 formation going on. They have the northern side of the circle fully in their control, so they can just kind of like put their finger into the cookie jar, just steal away a cookie if they want to. No one really moving quite yet. A lot of noise made by GX, but no answers back, and the circle will pull toward the central side. So that means that teams like Sin has to go to the southern side. RNG and KHI both have to take this fight to get into the circle, and potentially going to be stolen away in terms of pressure from teams that have more space to work with.
And that's Range. Fell to the blue as expected, as KHI blocked him from coming in. But at least they still have Nathan though. So now it's a matter of who will be able to collect that point out of range. And Nathan, can he seek revenge? Exit tracks perhaps? Or the KHI? But they have an idea that Nathan is around the corner. Okay, they're going for it. They see him. There you go. Shots fired out by Style. And Nathan, he has no space to play with. Finally eliminated. But it is cool that actually took his point.
Eliminated already, cannot hold on, but still managing to get away with those placement points is enough for them. But Goa here, a nice high elevation to play with. And able to find the members of KHI in the midst, despite the cover, despite the compound as well. The circle will go, and now it's a race forward, and GX says, you know what? The charge, let's go aggressive, put on the damage onto the members of Sin, finds one, chip damage onto Imas. He barely survives the encounter. But in the end of the day, the high ground will always be king, and they will be eliminated. Here's our top 4.
Yeah, and Sin is the one that's seeing third instead, and that's going to be 5 eliminations now for Sin themselves. One player knocked down, but they should be able to carry him into the circle. I don't see any other team that's able to block Sin from coming in, so they should have the space to heal up. And next, focus onto Goa, or maybe even Nexus Vanguard, so KHI. KHI now in the most difficult position because they're on the lower ground, unless if the circle somehow favors, but not at all if they favor Sin.
No one really wants to relinquish or even show their hand quite yet. Not until the blue zone finally pushes them out there in the open. There is a bit of cover toward the northern and southern side of the circle here, but even then you have no clue if your backs are gonna be safe. Joji here, his debut game today, going aggressive, taking up space here, wants to be that first contact, but on the other end of the map is Clay to fall first.
And it's on the other side to get rid of Simis though, but they're not in the blue. Rex will take out Zyle. And right now, KHI only has one active player left. It's going to be the Mios against the world. While Nexus Vanguard, they try to take out the members of Goa. They got one. And Osal will secure that elimination point. However, Goa, they are unstoppable right now. 10 elimination points for Goa.
Slowly falling and bleeding one by one, forced to reset, not enough space to do so right now, will eventually fall. And Sins has just been waiting and lording toward the northern side here. They have not been, joining in those fights, just watching at the very least, staying alive as a 4. There's only one more member to worry about from NX here. It's going to be Osal. They're going to rush out forward. They have an idea where he is. The nades are being thrown. The util is out as well. The sounds of footsteps should put him at ease right now. Puts in the damage. Emas nearly falls so low right in the blue zone. Should knock him down, but eventually in the end, going to be overwhelmed. A winner with our chicken dinner, and Sin eager for that first place spot again.
And Sin becomes the first team to score 2 chicken dinners in the PMCL this season. One yesterday, and the second one right now. Nothing seems to be stopping Sin. Even without chicken dinners, they have been very, very consistent as well. But now with 2 chicken dinners, for sure, like what you said, they will be at number 1.
They really want to be there. They fought so hard for it. Losing it must have been a blow, but they said, you know what, we are the kings, and we are going to be fighting for our rightful spot here. Very patient, this team, I think I have to say, I sound like a broken record saying this many, many times, but this team, in terms of patience, in terms of, making sure that they're controlling their aggression, has been phenomenal to watch. They understood that they have the high ground northern side. They have a full area to hold on to, despite the fact that TTQ was there first. And because a lot of these teams are forcing these fights toward the southern side, his name is cool as a cucumber, because in lots of situations where it's very high pressure, where it's this 1v1s, he's so quick on his toes. I think he's very rational on how exactly he wants to approach things. And most of the time here for Sid, especially on this particular map, it's not been really more toward the short range fights or CQCs. I mean, we did see one, but it wasn't a situation where they were forcing it either. It was just because they were forced to cross a team and they were forced to go into these CQCs. So this team, they prefer to wait and see. They prefer to just really, take their time on how exactly they want to approach these fights. I think that long to mid-range fights is what they prefer, especially on this map on high elevated terrain. So their way of playing, their playbook looks good. And let's have a look more on their highlights about how they played today.
Wow, Sin scoring that chicken dinner with 7 eliminations placed them at the most collected by a team in this round with 17 points. But Goa, 10 eliminations this round. We're starting to see the rise of Goa here with 15 points collected, and Nexus after that chicken dinner still a consistent performance, 12 points. But the Juggernauts, Yakugaticos, no points at all.
But the same could be said about BG, SG as well, and TTQ. And I think out of all of these teams, the outcome that I'm very surprised of is TTQ, because they had a majority of that circle toward the mid side of the game. They had full control of the southern side. And somehow, because they were so separated, because I think they were a little bit too, I would say greedy would be the right word. They weren't able to play off each other. They were just out there in the open. Being in the circle, the mid side of circle so early means that you have to take fights from so many different sides. And because they weren't able to hold on, eventually they fell. Regardless, coming into this overall rankings right now, we're still not seeing a lot of movement coming in from the last few places. PGAF still very much there, currently tied 9 points apiece. But for the rest of the teams here, the same could be said about competitiveness in terms of 214, OF, GG as well.
Yeah, so AF, PG still looking to come out that single-digit bracket. However, we got to celebrate our top 4 teams. Of course, Sin, Goa, Nexus Vanguards, and KHI, who scored a chicken dinner yesterday. So, looking at these numbers here, Nexus Vanguard only had a full squad time of 3 minutes and 6 seconds, but still able to come up as number 3 in this round with 6 eliminations. So again, it just shows that even though you have 3 players at the very beginning of this match, there's still a chance for you to rise up to the occasion again. Just like how Cool rise up for his team as the MVP this round.
We talked a lot about Cool and his, the way he plays, how aggressive he is, how he plays with his team, but most importantly, what I've really been loving to watch him is more of his individual brilliance, 1v1s, 1v2 situations where push comes to shove. He likes playing that first contact aggressively, being able to just really go in for those flanks from behind, or maybe just really playing aggressively in the front to provide his teammates that space. You can really, really rely on him for being able to do so. Regardless, Sin getting that second chicken dinner is very exciting. Nexus looking very consistent today. Let's see how this will change later in Wrangle in our upcoming matches.
And we'll be switching up the maps, ladies and gentlemen. Heading on to the OG map of Erangel coming up next. So Tash, how are you feeling so far after watching the first two games?
It's been pretty intense these first two games here. I'm loving the fact how every team has been really just really showing off a different sides on how exactly they approach this map, especially a smaller map like Sanhok. Clearly, with the bigger map, we're going to be seeing a big change in dynamics, a big change in tempo as well for many of these teams. Super stoked to see what they have in store today, especially since yesterday was the first time most of these teams had played this map.
And next up is going to be A, B, D, and E. So Group C, comprising of Titanquick Esports, Burmese Ghosts, Paradise Esports, and also SG. They're going to take a break next. So let's see if that break will bring them dividends when they come back later. But for now, Irango.
So both maps just now started out had been played by Group C. So C will be taking a break and be joining us again later for the next few air angles after this. Now, interesting enough when you think about it, with the changes from Group C, right? Group C, I feel like it's just one of those teams that have some of the heavy hitting teams. So some teams could breathe a sigh of relief, at least for the time being.
Yeah, and I'm sure that some of these teams wouldn't mind a little bit of a breather, right? Especially if you're like PG, Paradise, you're still at a single-digit point. You wouldn't mind a bit of a breather to reset yourselves and come back stronger in the following round, especially now that you have the chance to look at how all these teams today themselves will be playing the Irango match. So look at the flight path. We're going to start it off with a northern flight path from Starboard all the way down to the left side of Quarry. And I do see that the Sim and also Team Max, they could be overlapping each other. So there's a chance that we might see a first encounter between those two teams right at the next of Jasnaya.
I think it could be good if Max will be able to come up on top. After all, I mean, yesterday, after the track record that we saw from Max yesterday, today has been, I think the first two maps have been rather dismal for them, if you ask me. It's not their usual style of play. It's a little bit more quiet, getting knocked out a bit too early for me. At least in their case today, it's a very different look for them. But perhaps this could be their time. But Sir Cloud, it's your circle!
Ooh. Okay. There is a small possibility that I will pull to the main peninsula, so not keeping my hopes up too high, but it is an interesting circle nonetheless. It's 50-50 between main peninsula and also the military
There's so much
base,
water there too.
and that means that the teams will need to kind of guess on where the circle will go later.
Yeah, I'm surprised that no one actually dropped down into SMB. I mean, yesterday I think we saw one or two teams did make it their drop spot today, deciding against that. I mean, understanding so, the flight path was to the northern side. I was expecting a quick rotation down perhaps, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case here. I would say Austria on the run as well, RNG, PBMS, NX, as well as GG's already just making a high tail toward the southern side of the map.
Yeah, so we aren't sure if any teams were to still change their draw spot, but looking at this kind of circle, I would expect some teams to actually commit into military base since the flight path is up north, like what you mentioned. Some teams might think that, hey, you know what, military base could be open because nobody would be able to drop there directly. And if you can grab a vehicle, becomes the first team to zoom, pass by the bridge, play inside military base first, it might be an advantage for them.
RNG and NX are doing exactly what you said, Sir Cloud. They're already making a beeline from the western and